可以啊 ，OK， all right. All right, guys. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Okay, So today's talk is about cultivation. Okay, cultivation to me is mindfulness over time. Okay, we do something mindfully over time, and it becomes cultivation. And to me, why do we need to do that, right? Aren't we in school, getting all the knowledge and reading all the books and passing all the tests, right? To me, honestly, we can only treat at our own cultivation level. Otherwise, we're just doing it, right? It's very, very important to build our first-hand experience, right? And our first-hand experience comes from our mindful doing of something over time, and that becomes our cultivation. Okay? And when we do that, we start to fully tap into our intuition. I was just upstairs with a 13-year-old kid, right? And the mom took him here because he was angry. He was sensitive, he was angry, and he was this and this, right? So honestly, all we did, okay, I look, for the first 10 minutes, I say, please push me, right? And he started to push me, like leaning and push me, right? Lean and push and lean and push. I say, this is very dangerous. Now what you do is you find your center, right, which is your, center right here, right? Put your hands out, align your wrist with your center, okay? And then connect your wrist to your tailbone. In Chinese medicine is essentially Ren 1, right? And then use your Ren 1, use your tailbone to push me, right? And he started to push me like this. He's balanced. If I remove myself, he's not, falling onto the ground, right? And he felt it, and he went, oh my goodness. And he was really pushing me around. He's 70 pounds, 13-year-old kid, right? So we can see videos, we can view stuff, and seems like, we can pass a test. It seems like we know what we're doing. We don't know until we really feel it, okay? We need to build our first-hand experience, okay? And when we do that, we're truly practicing heart medicine. We're truly, coming from a place that's first-hand experience. To me, when we tell our patients what to do, and we are not doing it, or we really don't know whether what we share is true or not, we're missing the greatest opportunity for mutual healing, for us and for our patients to heal at the same time. Okay, yeah. So when we start to cultivate, we immediately start our path or transform our lives to be one of the upper doctors. Right, so we all learn about this, right? The lower doctor treats the symptoms, the middle treats, a few levels beyond the symptoms, and the upper doctors will see, like, okay, if you do this, 30 years later, you're going to be that, right? So when we start to cultivate, we start to truly experience that, right? We start to see things very, very differently. Honestly, we only need to treat one patient with care, with sensitivity, with love. And that person is ourselves. We only need to treat that one person only in our whole life, and we become the best doctor we can be. Honestly, the more we learn about other people's problems as if we can help them, with our knowledge, and isn't that the entire issues with our current medical system, right? Everything is about knowledge-based, not first-hand experience-based. So please, TCM is actually going that direction ever since the 1960s, right? It's standardized, it becomes testable, right? And everything that's testable is basically right and wrong, right? A patient comes in and we feel there's a right way to treat this patient. No, there's no right way to treat any patient. We need to use our sensitivity, we need to use our care, we need to use our intuition so we know at that moment what's the most empowering thing we can do, for that patient to get better. That's the cultivation. That's what we need to do in life as a doctor, or actually as a person as well. Right? And when we start to cultivate, we actually feel we are a lighthouse again, right? Not a candle in the wind, not based on somebody's telling me this and I have to do this, otherwise I'm not going to be successful. No, we become our own person. We start to have this inner light that we trust, right? Instead of trusting other people, right? And when we really mindfully cultivate, we become an integral part of loving kindness. We start to, when we start to cultivate, when we start to even, feel this hand movement, right? Every time we open a door, for example, I'm actually, put my hand out, my hand is soft, right? And my hand, my wrist is at my center, and my center is connected to my Ren 1, and I'm actually pushing open the door with my Ren 1, right? We actually activate our Ren channel and our Du channel at the same time, okay? And when we have the sense that I am part of the universe, and I'm part of this, thing that I call loving kindness, we call unconditional love, or God, or Jesus, or Buddha, however we want to call this, we feel differently. Our channels, that's the optimal level of our channels. And when we do that, we do not need to protect ourselves. Okay, one of the craziest thing that I experienced in this school is we have to protect ourselves. We cannot situate ourselves at the top of a patient, at the bottom of a patient, or at whatever. If this person has cancer or have this issue and this issue, we need to somehow protect ourselves. After we see a patient, we have to somehow cleanse ourselves. We have to, do Qigong or do Tai Chi or do whatever to get rid of the evil Qi that the patient brought in. Stop this, okay? This is complete nonsense. When we connect properly, when our Ren channel and our Du channels are running well, when we connect to loving kindness, when we treat our patients like our own parents, there's no evil Qi. Even the thought of evil Qi already trigger our liver Qi stagnation. So honestly, judge it for yourself, okay? Learn from your own experience. The people who are telling you to be careful of this, be careful of that, look at that person and feel how that person's energy runs. That person is in constant liver Qi stagnation. Okay? Again, when we cultivate, we start to find a path that we don't need to protect ourselves energetic-wise. Why? Because we run as a lighthouse. Our channels, our Ren channel and our Du channels are running well. We don't need to protect ourselves. Okay, that is so critical because otherwise we're always playing catch up. Okay, and that is very, very detrimental. I have lots of stories to tell, but I can't really share it here. So honestly, cultivate ourselves. If we come to this school in one state, okay, physically, emotionally, prospectively, when we leave the school, are we any better? Or do we just have knowledge that we don't know how to use? Knowledge that we actually make us even more anxious. Many patients come up to me and say, John, you got to calm these students down. They're so anxious when they see me. Why? Because it's knowledge-based. We're never sure, okay? Everything we learn is about somebody else put it down on paper about somebody's treatment of certain patients, and that was it. Not your patients, and that person is not you that's treating the patient. Make that your own first-hand experience, okay? So cultivation, I break it down into 4 parts, okay? And this is essentially what I teach in Special Tui Na. Tui Na to me is not about handwork. It's not about technique. It's not about, certain movements or whatever, right? Or certain parts of the body. It's really about how balanced we are, okay? It's really about this entire sense of cultivation. Thank you. So physically, okay, the first thing we cultivate, okay, the first thing we cultivate physically is our posture, our structure, okay? So when we're in school, we have this perfect opportunity to sit in a chair, right? When we sit in a chair, are our feet on the ground or like this, or the toes are curled up, right? Are we balanced, right? It is so important. when we sit in a room for hours and hours and hours, and we are not balanced, essentially we're disrupting our posture, we're disrupting our structure, okay? Is our ren channel and du channel running, right? Am I doing like this, right? Or am I upright, right? Can I elevate my ren? Can I elevate my ren one and feel the sense of purpose in the heart, right? And feel my connection to the universe from my yin tang, right? If I do that, my ren channel and my du channel are running. So in a classroom, right, we are cultivating, right? Cultivation to me doesn't take any more time. Actually, it would save a lot of time, right? If I'm doing this in a class, I cannot study afterwards, right? I'm not interested. I'm actually blocking my lung channel for sure, right? So then my breathing is not. Actually, just by doing this, I'm out of breath, okay? So sitting, right? Standing, right? When we stand, is our weight evenly distributed along these 2 feet, right? Or are we one-sided, right? This is what we are doing in the clinic. People come in with knee issues, with back issues, with shoulder issues, and It's all part of the posture. The posture shows everything, right? Liver qi stagnation has a lot to do with it, right? Liver qi stagnation essentially blocks the pericardium channel, right? And when the pericardium channel is blocked, right, all of a sudden there's pain right here, okay? The body protects our, the body needs protection, right? And when it protects, what happens is our shoulders start to come in, our posture start to change, right? The tension in the neck start to increase. Why? Because of liver qi stagnation, because we're not thriving, right? And this, liver qi is not coming up, right? It causes all kinds of digestion and problem, right? And our lung is deficient, so our breathing is not automatic, right? How do we fix that, right? Start from how we sit, how we stand, right? Can we, every chance we are mindful, right? My ren one is elevated, so I'm in my body. I'm not dissociated from anything, right? I'm in my body. I have a purpose in my heart. I connect to loving kindness from my yin tang, okay? And that's it, okay? Every time we do this, we're activating our ren channel, we're activating our du channel. And when those 2 channels are running, strong, right, vigorously, all the other channels are following. We start to feel we have a choice, right? The liver qi stagnation just start to dissolve. Dampness issues is because of this. Okay, you're gonna feel so many people who have dampness, right, in their hands. Maybe we have this right now. It's not an issue once we start to, really get our channels up and running by just being mindful of what we do. We don't need to do anything special. Okay, we just need to take care of what we're doing right now. Centering, sensitivity, balance, right? Again. When we sit, feel the sit bones, right? Are our weight evenly distributed along our 2 sit bones? Honestly, I have real estate agents like, John, so hard, I have to, take the client here, take the client there. I'm always in my car and I just don't feel right. I say, how are your sit bones? I say, so I actually wrote her down, in a big post note, right? I say, sit bones, right? And I would just tape it on her steering wheel, right? So when we drive, one-sided, right, and it just caused so much structural issue, right? Yeah. So the full body ren one connection is very, very important. Okay, this we can do anytime we want, right? Nobody's gonna know, that your ren one is elevated. You have a sense of purpose in your heart, right? And you have connection to loving kindness. The only people who know is the people who practice this, because your eyes are just brighter. You just fill with curiosity. Why? Because when we do that, we activate our midbrain, and the midbrain is in charge of the sense of curiosity, love, hope, right? All the good things, autoimmune system, auto functions, and oxytocin, you name it, right? So honestly, this very, very simple thing, is what I share with my patients all the time. And honestly, if I don't do anything else, this one thing will change their lives. Because when our rin channel and our do channels are running, it automatically changes our lives. You don't need any more medicine. There's no medicine that's more powerful than your midbrain that's in charge of autoimmune system. So anybody with autoimmune system or autoimmune issues come into the clinic, it's obvious this thing is not running. The midbrain is not running. You got all kinds of auto functions, autoimmune system issues, rin channel and do channel. Okay, do they have trauma that they're so suppressed themselves? Their liver qi stagnation is so severe. Their posture is like this, right? They don't ever feel safe, right? They're running their left and right brain. Their midbrain is not running. Life is not fun. Life is not filled with love. Life is filled with fear. And guess what? Autoimmune system, right? Digestion system, circulation, all has to take a toll. Okay? When we're in fight and flight, we cannot digest. We cannot eliminate well, right? We cannot circulate well, right? So all these things, to me, when we start to truly pursue, the relentless pursuit of essence, right? Instead of excellence, okay? Relentless pursuit of essence, we start to tap into these things that are so basic and fundamental, right? But it's so life-changing. Not just coming and needle, right? Coming and get herbs, get formulas, but coming and change lives, okay? And we start from ourselves. Then we have first-hand experience that we can share with our patients, right? And that is powerful. That is empowering. So there's a lot of things I do over the years, okay? Or now, right? I do ropes, I do rope work, I do stick work, I do martial art, I do punches, kicks, and various things. And you can pick anything you want, right? The key is not to say, okay, what's the best way to cultivate? No, your life is your cultivation. Turn your life, everything that you do in your life, into do it with a sense of mindfulness. Then you are cultivating. Everybody has a different situation, but we all have the chance to cultivate. Okay. So that's physically, right? Emotionally, trust our anger, respect our fear, stop controlling our emotions. Every time I hear like, oh, I need to have better emotional intelligence and I was just like, you're just masking. When we do that, we're masking what's causing the emotion in the first place. Okay, our emotions are so we have all these triggers, right? Like like jealousy and right? We have all these triggers that we cannot see. We don't know they're there, right? Until they get triggered, right? Then we have emotion. For example, the emotion of jealousy, right? When we try to suppress it, right? Try to manage it. Say, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I should feel happy for, your graduation or your opening of your clinic and right? But inside, I'm very jealous, right? If I do not honor my jealousy, I would just fake it. I will suppress my jealousy, right? I will suppress my emotion. Then I actually miss the opportunity to go inside of myself and say, what's being triggered? And when I do that, I actually do that with love. I don't do that with a sense of criticism. It's like, what's being triggered? Why is this thing here? Why is my ego trying to, do these things to me? No, there's no separate self. Everything we do, when we say love ourselves, we love the whole ourselves. We do not separate ourselves into the parts that we like and the parts we dislike, right? So every emotion has its place. Every emotion gives us the opportunity to go deeper within ourselves and say, what got triggered? And that was interesting. And we actually, have a sense of gratitude. It's like all the triggers are there to protect ourselves, to protect us from something that we experienced before. Do we still need that protection? And if we don't, that trigger will automatically start to dissolve, right? And that's the way to not manage our emotions, but truly understand, truly with our emotions and truly start to allow us to reveal ourselves. Okay? The true self to start to reveal instead of, just try to control ourselves to be a better person or a nicer person. To me, that's not cultivation. That's masking. So embrace all emotions, dissolve, discover inner triggers, right? And true healing. Okay, true healing is not just emotion. It's not emotional release. Okay, people talk about emotional release. To me, emotional release and healing are two separate things. Healing does sometimes, a lot of times, involve emotional release, but emotional release by itself doesn't always address the internal triggers. And when we can do that, we start to build a feedback loop, right? Let's say if I feel I'm jealous of somebody's achievement, okay? When I'm mindful that I'm jealous at this time, maybe it's 3 seconds later, right? Maybe it's 3 hours later, maybe 3 years later, right? That's my hindsight. I feel, I notice that I have this feeling, right? So we start to work on hindsight. We start to say, okay, instead of I need to be prepared for everything, like in the clinic, right? In the clinic, everybody is like, we need to read the chart, and this person has this past conditions, and we need to be prepared so we can treat this person. Be in a ready state, right? The ready state means I am me. I'm gonna either make a fool out of myself or do something that's or I learn or do something that's beneficial to both parties, right? And then I rely on my hindsight, not my foresight. Okay, we're trained, from the age of 5 to foresee what's going to happen, right? We need to make the right choices, right? Honestly, from a cultivation standpoint, work on the hindsight, because that's the only thing that's reliable. Okay, that's really empowering. That's really interesting. Because otherwise, we just get more and more and more and more anxious every time we're not prepared enough. Okay? And this becomes a clinical issue. So prospectively, are we still sympathizing with people? When people say, okay, I have cancer, 10 years ago, I have stage 4 cancer, right? And we feel, I'm so sorry. Okay, you're so young and your kids are so small and and you've been taking care of yourself. This is not fair, right? That's sympathy. That's judgment. Okay, that's taking power away from both, right? From the person that we're talking to and from ourselves. So in my clinic, I have this sign that says, this is a sympathy-free clinic. We don't sympathize. Okay? Whatever our condition is our condition. Okay? What can we do moving forward? What can we do that's most empowering at the moment? Okay? Sympathy has no place in anybody. If we want to improve, we cannot sympathize with ourselves. What does that mean, right? Does that mean there's no injustice, there's no right, there's no wrong, right? To me, however we want to term this, but what to me is we have experience, okay? And based on that experience, what can we do moving forward? What choice do we have? Okay. To me, the worst, again, liver qi stagnation, the spleen not coming into the heart channel and cause gallbladder issues, for example, okay, or severe liver issues, right? Those are caused by injustice and righteousness. Injustice gets us to have liver qi stagnation. If I feel there's no justice for me, right, automatically I have to lock down my pericardial channel because I cannot thrive. I'm a victim. I cannot thrive, right? So then the liver then the liver doesn't go through. My lung doesn't have enough energy. I am not thriving, right? If I feel righteous, my heart needs to shut down. So the spleen needs to get blocked, right? The spleen gets blocked right here. Okay, I've seen so many of these cases, right? There's severe pain around this, like right side, right here. Severe pain, okay? Why? Because of righteousness. It's very, very simple. From a channel standpoint, it's very simple. Think about it. When I'm righteous, I cannot use my heart. When I'm righteous, I cannot be kind. I need to destroy the people that's in front of me. Righteous, in my mind, is the worst energy in the world, right? It destroys the person I feel righteous about. It also destroys me at the same time. Righteous is the worst energy in the world, okay? And when I'm righteous, my heart is, I have no heart. I cannot be kind, right? So from a channel standpoint, spleen has to get blocked right here, right? And the blocked spleen channel overflows, right? Creates a lot of excess condition, attacks liver, attacks gallbladder, attacks the stomach, attacks everything it comes in contact with, right? So sympathy really causes tremendous amount of these channel problems. All of a sudden, the anxiety and so many issues are caused by this very simple essence of sympathy. We feel bad for things that, that should not have happened. Why did this happen to me? All these questions are not empowering, okay? So from a perspective, in perspective, I share, three things: sympathy-free, right? Empathy-neutral, right? Empathy just means our ability to mirror. Okay, a lot of us in this in 5 branches, right, have this beautiful, ability to empathize, right? Empathy is a very neutral ability. Okay, it comes from experience. It comes from maybe even lifetimes of experience that's built up to our, so that we can feel how other people are feeling. Okay, my youngest daughter, when she can be sitting in a coffee shop and people will walk by her without her even looking at the person. She will feel different emotions going by her. Okay, she's that sensitive. Okay, a lot of people are very, very good at this, right? Empathy is a mirroring ability, our ability to mirror another person's energy. Okay, physically, emotionally, the whole energy-wise, right? The key is when we sympathize, right? When we do not, let's say empathy by itself is a mirror, right? So whatever comes into the mirror, we see it. It leaves, there is nothing in the mirror. The mirror is just as shining as before, right? The problem is we sympathize, we judge. We say, "Oh, you should." No, I feel so sorry. I shouldn't, or I feel we're judging, right? Then when this person leaves, there's still something in the mirror. Okay, this creates wounded healers. When we talk about wounded healer, that's exactly the formula. Okay, the formula for a wounded healer is empathy plus sympathy. Then you create a wounded healer, guaranteed, right? Because then you're not a pure mirror anymore. I made a vow to serve healers, right? So this to me is very, very apparent, right? So when we have this ability to empathize, and we have this kindness and this sense of destiny, or this sense of kindness, just I want to serve, right? When we judge, that's what's happening. We start to be wounded because we're retaining what other people's energy. Okay, so this again, right? So when we elevate our Ren channel, Ren 1, we have purpose in our heart, right? I have a purpose, you have a purpose, everything has a purpose, right? And we connect to loving kindness, right? And all of a sudden, we are in the realm of compassion. Okay, we cannot say, nobody can say, I'm not going to sympathize. That almost always become apathy. Okay, I've treated psychologists or psychotherapists and say, John, my work is very, very difficult. Every time I go into the room, I have to put my sympathy at the door, right? And guess what? They have problems because you cannot say, I'm going to put my sympathy at the door, right? So it's almost like monkeys holding a fistful of stuff, right? You cannot let go of this unless you are grabbing onto something else, right? And that something else is compassion. Compassion means no judgment. It means what we're doing what's most empowering at that moment, not what's right and not what's wrong. See, sympathy involves right and wrong. Compassion has no sense of right and wrong. Is killing right or right or wrong, right? From a compassion standpoint, when you have to kill, you kill. It's the most compassionate thing to kill, right? Years ago, I heard this. I have this friend that commute between San Jose and Santa Cruz, right? And he told me it's like he saw quite a few times, right? Somebody hit a deer, and the neighbor would just come out, and with a shotgun, and just boom. That's compassion. You end suffering right there, right? So compassion has no sense of right and wrong, right? So this may sound awkward, okay? Because everything we learn about is right and wrong, because we're going to take a test and there's always a right question, right? And there's virtues we need to follow and stuff like that, right? When we are compassionate, we automatically are fulfilling these so-called virtues. But when we are so confine ourselves to virtues, we're restricting ourselves, we're controlling our behaviors, we are controlling our emotions, we go into liver qi stagnation. It is dramatically different, okay? We're achieving the same thing, but using completely different energy. Okay, connection. So I sort of, this is what my practice. And again, this is my first-hand experience. Don't trust me, okay? If you want to try this, try this. Loving kindness, okay? Loving kindness is everywhere, okay? It's right here with us, okay? We can connect to loving kindness anytime we want. It's our choice. It's our, it's our right. It's our responsibility. It's always our choice, okay? We have a purpose, okay? Today I'm sitting here, right? I had a severe neck injury, a motorcycle accident when I was 17. I had asthma until I was 30, okay, in and out of hospital, right? Almost drowned once, right? Almost killed on the road a few times. I have severe depression. 12 years ago, I couldn't walk up and down stairs, right? And my marriage wasn't good. My kids a few years ago were not with me, right? Emotion-wise, right? They're not connecting to me, right? They're connecting to my behaviors. But honestly, all these are my gifts, each and every one of them. So if any one of you, right, in right here, right, or online, or you see this video, if you have issues, congratulations. You have something that's very, very valuable when we cultivate, when we understand, when we connect to the purpose of these things. Then when we look back, we'll be so grateful. It's like, oh my goodness, that's why these things happen. We are collecting puzzle pieces. Puzzle pieces are like our gifts. Some puzzle pieces are wrapped up in barbed wires. This is actually a statement from one of my patients after, we needle her severe congenital scars and, that stuff. And she was yelling, she was screaming, she was cursing the whole time. But when she left the room, she turned around and she gave me this smile and she said, John, some gifts are just wrapped up in barbed wires. Okay? So in our lifetime, we receive many, many of these gifts. Some are nice and bright and shiny and warm. Some are cold and wrapped up in barbed wires. They are very, very painful. But when we start to take it as a part, right, and really go into it, right, very, very mindfully, very carefully, we start to feel like, oh my goodness, that is true. That is a true gift. Then we start to understand purpose, right? Then we will never ever look at our patients, the same again. We will not sympathize because, oh, you want to kill yourself? That's one of the choices. That's one option. Would you like to explore other options? Very, very interesting, right? So a lot of times that, in the clinic, when people with severe trauma comes in, right, we don't sympathize, and all of a sudden, within an hour, within 90 minutes, they left the room completely happy. They will leave with such hope, right? It's really, it's doable, okay? From my first-hand experience, it is dramatically doable, okay? Before COVID-19, I have these open clinics. There's actually a few psychologists, psychotherapists coming in, right? And they were amazed at what we were able to do with PTSD patients, with severe depression, with severe anxieties and stuff like that, right? Why? Because people start to have choice. The key is choice, right? when we have choice and we believe we have a purpose, everything, I have a purpose, right? Not like, well, what's my purpose? No, I have a purpose. That's a statement. That is not a question. That is not like, what is my purpose? No, everything has a purpose. I have a purpose. I don't need to know what my purpose is. Our issue is we want to know what is my purpose, or when I'm better, I will fulfill my purpose. No, right now is right now there's purpose. Stage 4 cancer patients, right, going through chemo, that's your purpose right now. Go through this with a sense of connection to loving kindness to the people that you love, to the people that you care about, right? Don't feel like you're a complete victim. There's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do, right? And when we combine these things, right, we start to have this inner, this sense of inner smile. We start to feel like more like a lighthouse instead of a candle in the wind, right? Yeah. So ultimately, what I feel, okay, is we need to start with two things. Okay, we need to make a choice of which direction we want to go. Okay, do we believe, okay, our soul, or deep down, I am golden, forever, or do I believe, or do I, I may feel like it, I am broken, but do I believe I am broken? Okay, that is honestly, that is something we need to make a decision, okay? Or we try it, okay? If we believe our heart is always golden, everyone's heart is always golden, right? Then I can hate, for example, I used to hate my parents, right? Why do I have parents like that, right? Why do I have siblings like that, right? Why do I feel like that? Because I connect to their behaviors and their words. Do they still have a heart of gold? Do I still have a heart of gold? Right? So if I see myself as having a heart of gold, and I believe, and I can honestly try this, right? Don't trust me. Try this for 3 days, for a week, okay? Today, when you drive home, or later when you are by yourself, again, elevate your run one, right? Purpose in the heart, connect to loving kindness, and through loving kindness, connect to, for example, somebody you really don't like's heart of gold. And say, you have a heart of gold, I honor your heart of gold. If it's our parents, Dad, I love you unconditionally. I connect to your heart of gold, and I'm going to love your heart of gold unconditionally. When we do that, we completely change our lives. Why? Because when we do that, what does that mean? That means I have a heart of gold. I was never broken. Honestly, this is how I operate my clinic, okay? And people come in and they say, John, I cannot believe the results. And here's why. There's no magic in my clinic. Everything, whether we want to heal or not is based on our choice. And the choice we make immediately affect our channels. When I feel I am connecting to my dad's heart of gold, my mom's heart of gold, and I love my parents unconditionally from this point on because it's my freaking choice, our energies are completely different. We're not suppressing. We start to thrive. Every time we have a choice, we thrive. Okay, and to me, that's why Buddha was here. That's why Jesus was here. Is to show us, not to mock us, not to say, none of you guys can do this. We're just here to show you what you cannot do. No, they're here to teach us. Each and every one of us has a choice to love unconditionally. Okay, so when we do that, we start to reveal, right? So when we believe, or when we take the belief, or we try it, right, to say my heart is golden, and your heart, everyone's heart is golden, right? We start to live a life that's revealing. We want to reveal my true nature. We want to connect to other people's true nature. So all of a sudden, we are not controlling. We're not trying to forgive, forget, try to escape, right? Try to, add more, try to supplement, try to do positive thinking, and try to control how I feel, right? Because that's the broken model. Okay? The revealing model is nothing but love, right? If I feel jealous, if I feel hatred, if I discriminate, if I have any of these things, I do not hate myself. I'm not critical of myself. I'm looking at it and say, that's interesting. What's beneath all these emotions, all these views? What are my triggers? Can I get to my trigger? Can I understand myself? Because I know, beyond these triggers, let's say if this is the emotions we're feeling, these are the triggers that's hidden. These are in the subconscious, okay? And once we dissolve these triggers with love, with a sense of safety, right? We're safe again because we're always golden, right? There's nothing to protect us, right? If we're on the cross, there's nothing to hate, okay? If we're being mutilated like Buddha, there's nothing, do what's most empowering at the moment. Continue to love, right? So let's say we recognize our emotion. Emotions are for us to feel, right? We use this hindsight and try to understand it, accept it, write it down, right? Journal it, without judgment. It's like, this is how I feel today. I feel extremely jealous of this person, and this person, got this, and I, today is this weather, and, right? You write all this down, right? And then just like, I love myself. I honor that jealousy emotion. And I would like to understand what's triggered that. Right? And all of a sudden, we have the opportunity, right? It's very interesting. When we don't judge, our left and right brain doesn't fetch these questions. If I ask the question to say, what's the right thing to do? It automatically goes into our left and right brain. Because it goes into its memory database, right? Say, okay, what did I learn that's about right and wrong, right? So it's always about the past. If I ask the question, what's the most empowering thing I can do right now? Your channels will be completely different. This is what we do in the open clinic, right? We ask the question, what's the most empowering thing we can do right now? Not the right thing to do. Because then the left and right brain cannot fetch this. The midbrain, only the midbrain can take this question. Because it involves empowering, which is not right, not wrong. It involves now, which is not past or future. The left and right brain doesn't, that's not in the left and right brain domain. That's in the midbrain. So when we are asking these questions, when we don't judge our emotions and we write it down and we'll have this curiosity, it's like, I wonder what caused me to feel such a tremendous amount of jealousy. The midbrain takes this and returns to us with clarity. I'm sure everybody has this experience. It's like, boom, that's the answer. Why? Don't know. Can't explain it. But feels empowered. That's what we want to activate, right? That's the do channel. That's how the do channel is supposed to flow, when we're awake, right? It goes from do one, right? Follow basically the spine, right? Into the midbrain, energize our midbrain, and from there, boost our, immunity, creativity, and give us clarity, right? So that's essentially what I want to share today, okay? I really spend time, in the past few years to do this, right? And if we can do this when we're a student, right? When we practice, when we deal with our daily lives, when we walk and everything else, right? Again, it doesn't take any more time, but it will make us completely different practitioners, okay? We don't become a doctor because we put on a white coat, okay? We are a doctor because of our cultivation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.